Yo, we're back. The Sports Bag Bros podcast is back after an extended hiatus, which also included the 4th of July. Well, last Thursday, that would have been one of the days we would have been on, but not this time around. We decided to celebrate, so we're back now. But as usual, when we're just off just 2 days, things happen. We've been off for a whole week. Everything has happened, so we'll get a chance to drop off on everything along the way. And so we'll get and talk to it right now. Get into the talk and just get into it right now. What's going on?
What's happening, man? Hope you had a good holiday.
Yeah.
Seems like a long time ago we've been on, but let's get to it.
Yeah, getting to it with all the things going on in sports, man. I'm thinking that all of this time we talk about these different sports, it's always the major sports, basketball, football, baseball, and I'm not as much baseball, but baseball is going to have to be talked about these days. But the WNBA has never been what we talked about up until this season. We talked about it last season because not the WNBA, but at least we talked about women's basketball last season because of what was going on in college. So I think we was ahead of the curve on that one. This time around, we're talking about the WNBA again for multiple times throughout this season. And once again, because of Caitlin Clark, who's still the lead news getter in the WNBA. For better or worse, whether they're roughing her up or whether she's roughing them up, this past weekend was an example of her roughing them up. A triple-double, which some people don't like, but why wouldn't you like that? But she has gotten a triple-double, the first rookie to have done it in her rookie year. I mean, everything just worked out. 22 years old, she did. 22-year-old girl, Wells number 22, and in her 22nd game, boom, this is what happens.
Right. I mean, there was I guess I'm leery about calling it historic because the numbers they're good, but it's not like a 35-point triple-double. But it was historic because she's the first rookie to ever drop a triple-double. So that made it historic. Whether the numbers in totality were historic, that's up for debate. But doing it against the Liberty, that's the thing about it.
That was more important.
They had only lost 3 games up until that point, and Stewie's on that team, and Inoskwe, or however you say her name. Forgive me, I'm not trying to butcher it. I just don't know it. I just don't know it that well. Liberty's very talented. They got some ballers, but credit to the Fever. Caitlin Clark was hot in the first half. And then second half, her teammates kind of helped out because she didn't score very much, but, she was stuffing the stat sheet. She got her boards and she got her assists.
Yeah, then the rebound she had gotten that got her the triple-double just came right to her. It wasn't one of these things where she grinded it out, got the ball, and just like everybody went crazy. It just landed in her hands, right place, right time. But she showed that as being a point guard, you could be a field general, and you don't have to be the ultimate scorer on the team in order to do that. She was able to dish it out being the field general. She was also getting the rebounds. But, yeah, in terms of the overall number, there's a reason why it hasn't been done in this period of time. I mean, I know the talk has been about double-doubles, but you know what? How long has that really been a stat? When you're talking about a double-double, are you talking about an exceptional player all the time? There have been exceptional players in the NBA who have gotten double-doubles, but there's also been pretty ordinary players who've gotten double-doubles in the NBA, and there wasn't much made about them. I talked about Vucevic, who came from Orlando, a double-double machine. Well, he was so great, they traded him. And then he ends up in Chicago doing pretty much the same thing. Can't play defense, but he's getting double-doubles and not really helping their cause of being a better team. But a triple-double does matter. And when I'm not saying she's averaging it for the season like an Oscar Robertson or even a Russell Westbrook, but a triple-double when it hasn't been done by a rookie and barely done by the veterans throughout the life of the WNBA.
Right. Well, the thing about the double-doubles is they don't occur as often in the W as they do in the NBA. Mm-hmm. So what Angel Reese is doing, you got to tip your hat to her because it hasn't been done before, right? However, I say probably 50% of the rebounds she gets are her own misses. So are we really going to praise a 41% bricklayer in the paint?
Bro,
I mean, she hustles. I don't want to talk bad about her. I'm trying not to.
Just call it what it is, though.
She hustles. She plays hard. She fights for those rebounds. But if you shoot 41% in the paint, you better fight for those fucking rebounds.
And that's exactly what she's been doing. She's been fighting for those rebounds, but she's fighting for her own rebounds. She's missing these shots at 6'3", 2 feet away, 4 feet away. She's missing them and going back and forth, playing volleyball with them and ultimately scoring with them. It looks like stat padding when you look at it. But, well, when you see it, I don't think she's doing it consciously. She's just pretty much not a good finisher for the ball to go in the first time. So it's not happening that way.
Well, I mean, I gotta give her credit because she's tenacious. You know, she goes after it, but she's just not a great finisher in the paint.
That's what
she must know that because she goes hard for the rebounds. And you know, whereas other girls, ladies, even dudes, they might miss the shot and be like, damn, I missed that, and put their head down and just start running down court. Angel Reese ain't like that. She goes after it, you know, and she got that stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah, she gets after it. She showed that tenacity on the boards. But, you know, that's what I was expecting from Brittany Griner when she first came from Baylor, when I was like, if this was going to be one player that they were going to take to make an example or do the politically correct thing, giving a woman a chance to even go to an NBA camp, I thought she would have been the one. And apparently it didn't work out that way. That she had the injuries and all that other stuff. But I thought she was so dominant that even with injuries, she was still going to be more physically imposing and dominated. Definitely has the deepest damn voice than anybody in the WNBA and maybe even the NBA for that matter. But, you know, Angel Reese gets her numbers the way she does. 41%, I think it is right now, from 2 feet away. I mean, it's something to look at and laugh at because people like laughing in that right now between her and.
You know, you want to know what's laughable? I was watching some clips on ESPN and they're talking about who's in the lead for Rookie of the Year. And some people are saying it's close. And then one person says, but I give the edge to Angel Reese. And she actually said she was efficient. How the hell are you efficient with 41% shooting?
I don't trust anything anyone there says anymore, especially the melanin complexion types. Forget about it. Call it what it is. I do not believe or listen to hardly anything they are saying when they're trying to allegedly be objective. From the nonsense that Cheryl Swoop is coming up now, at least the latest nonsense, well, you know, that she's saying about what Taylor Clark is, or even what this Nutty Buddy said, well, I'm just going to take it by the way that I just got to go with the record of the team, when she wasn't saying that when just a week or two ago, Indiana was ahead in terms of the.
Indiana's back ahead now, though.
Yeah, now Indiana's back ahead. So I guess her vote's going to change, or at least something, whatever she's talking about is going to change. But those types of people who just change with the wind because you already know what their objective is. It's a bigoted objective. I'm going to call it what it is, not what I think it is. I think the masses who are normal people and not just driven by emotions and the nonsense they're typically driven by, they can see what it's all about. But then when you look at somebody like Caitlin Clark, who really hasn't done anything off of the court to make you dislike her, she hasn't done much on the court really to make you dislike her. She says all the right things all the time, whether it's rehearsed or not. She's not coming across as this bad person. She's not coming across as, when she won those first two games, I'm the dog of this team. That's why it's going down. And as you said last week, all of a sudden, Angel Reese is a dog in the third game. What happened the first two games against them? You're not a dog? You know what I mean? But it's going to be them. At least for right now, it's going to be synonymous. And as it goes on, I think as they continue to play one another, or even the WNBA continues on this trajectory upwards as it is, I'm thinking the obvious is going to happen, which seems obvious to me at least. Caitlin Clark is going to just pull ahead, and it's going to become more of just about her. And everybody else in the background saying what they're saying is just going to be that background noise.
We'll see, because it looks like ESPN is pushing an agenda. And a lot of people watch and listen to ESPN. And if I didn't already know Angel Reese was shooting 41%, I would not have questioned that comment about Angel Reese being efficient. But something else I want to talk about, because I heard them saying so-and-so got so many All-Star votes and so-and-so got so many All-Star votes. Last year, I think the top vote getter was like 70,000.
Yep.
This year, Caitlin Clark had 700,000.
Yep.
So if you want to talk about, you can't talk about nobody's votes without talking about Caitlin Clark, because you can't vote for just one person. You have to vote for forwards and guards and the center or whatever. So 700,000 people voting for Caitlin Clark also had to vote for other people. So that's why those other people got so many votes.
And ironically, Caitlin Clark's teammate Boston got the second amount of votes. Craziness. You would have thought about that last year, but because all eyes seem to be on the WNBA this year, the fever in particular, you see the numbers exponentially go up. You know, back in the day, it was incrementally. Back in the day, meaning last season and before. Now, present, speaking now, exponentially, and they're going through the roof. And we know the reasons why. But now the play seems to be keeping up with the person. I mean, Caitlin Clark, not just the name of what she has done in college, she's already establishing herself as a WNBA player. And if you want to look at it from what she's doing now to what it was earlier, a slow start, if you want to call it that, a slow start, which included 230-plus point games, or 230-point games at least. And now you're talking about a triple-double with a lot. The season's not even halfway over. So now we're talking about a possibility of more triple-doubles to come. Are the fouls going to get harder against her? Or is there going to be something where people are going to try to be more physical against her because they're trying to hurt her to get her out? Or they're just trying to continue doing what they're doing just to claim that it's a physical league? I think people from the outside looking in can't really tell whether it was a physical league or not because they weren't watching anyway. A lot of them, it's their first time ever watching a game from beginning to end. So, and they see this, and they're like, wow, these girls are really going after her. Well, if the tree falls to the forest and no one's there to watch, it doesn't make a noise. That's what's been happening in the previous years before Caitlin came.
Well, another thing, as far as Caitlin versus Angel, when do you see Angel being face guarded from the other side of the court?
Never.
It doesn't happen. Not even in the paint. When she's calling for the ball, she's not getting face guarded. They try to deny Caitlin the from out of bounds after a scored basket.
Yep.
She's getting guarded 99% of the time. Someone's right there in her face. She's coming off a screen, then she gets double teamed, whatever. Very rarely is she open. And people are want to criticize her 3-point shooting. She's in the lower 30% right now. And I told you this. Steph Curry wasn't Steph Curry for a couple of years.
I was just watching that. I said this
before
in Jackson.
And I said that about Caitlin Clark. She may not be shooting like she was at Iowa. It may take her some time. But what translates is her vision on the court, her dimes. And she's still, no matter what, if her shot is off, she's still dropping dimes. And a lot of times her teammates are getting easy buckets, and other times they're missing the ball and they're going out of bounds, and she's getting the turnovers
for it.
Yeah, that's bogus. People are like, she's got too many turnovers. Yes, she does turn the ball over, but a lot of times those turnovers are not hers. They need to look at that rule, because if the ball hits you in the hands and it bounces out of bounds, that's not the passer's fault. That's that person's fault.
Yeah, that's not you being able to handle the ball, let alone being able to execute the assist when you do have the ball. You know, and you see what she does. I mean, when she doesn't score, she goes quite a bit of time without scoring. And there's been times that you could see when you watch the games that Christy Sales, her coach, doesn't have plays specifically for her.
Yeah.
And that's insane. You would like to believe that you know what she can do. When she's able to handle the ball, when you watch the game, she handles the ball better than anybody on both teams. Handles the ball. But they don't allow her to do that thing. She could drive to the hoop, but she doesn't do it as often as she could. And you hear these stories that they make up when you talk about Cheryl Swoops once again. She shoots the ball 40 times a game. Shooting the ball 40 times a game. She doesn't shoot the ball, and she shoots like 20 times a game, less than that. They hardly let her shoot at all. And it's ridiculous how they just make up things to justify their jealousy, because that's what it is. They can't hide it. I think they got to a point where they're so emotional about it, they don't give a damn about hiding it. They just know what they think, regardless if it's true or not, because it works around their people that they just say nonsense to, and everybody says yes to it. And
so did Swoop say something else recently?
No, she was talking about how she shoots the ball 40 times a game.
Again?
That's why she did the point that she got when she talking about when she was at college, shooting the ball 40 times a game. When in reality, she was averaging like what, 20, not even 20 shots, 16 shots. And some of we're talking about from a freshman year to the end of the other nonsense she added. well, because of the COVID year, this and that. That's why she was talking about her not breaking the previous record and how she don't respect it. No, she's looking for reasons not to respect it. She got the record in fewer games. There's no way around it, with the COVID year or not. She just doesn't like her.
Idiot.
Huh?
Cheryl Swoops is a bona fide idiot.
Oh, absolutely. And McNutt is turning out to be one of them too. As soon as you get them on the spot, they give these fake ass praises out and take them back a little bit later. They put out the praises just to clear the air, then they take them right back. Not so subtly either. And they've been doing that. But it doesn't matter because she continues being who she is, who she's been raised to be, and who we see her as the nice guy, the nice person, the not the villain, but the hero. And the heroine, I guess, and they don't want to look at it that way. She saved the WNBA, and they're trying to sabotage themselves right now, thinking the way they've done, treating her the way they have so far. I think it's getting a little lighter, but the refs still need to do a better job.
Did you see that one play where she pump faked, and then the player jumped to challenge her shot, and then she jumped to shoot, and they called an offensive foul?
Yeah, I saw that. They showed that a few times.
That's got to be the first time in history. Never has it been called an offensive foul.
I think the announcer said the same thing. Like, that wasn't a foul. That wasn't a foul. But what are they doing? Now, once again, I'm not going to act like I've been watching the WNBA. I've watched some of their games, not the entire game, blips and pieces, but it never was of interest to me until this year, watching a game from beginning to end. So I can't tell you if this has been bad in terms of their refereeing for all these years. And now that more people are watching, we're realizing, damn, this is pretty bad referee we have here. In addition to pretty bad play we have as well, too. And she just looks good and above and beyond what they're doing now. I mean, she's 45% as a guard. If you wanted to make a comparison to what Angel Reese is doing, she's 41% at 6'3", 2 feet away from the freaking basket. And you see these arguments, these people who are obvious bigots, and that's what they are saying in these comments. They want to always talk about who's racist because they say something positive about Caitlin Clark, although it's warranted. They just come in here just to shit on everyone's parade. When in reality, look at what Reese is doing. I mean, not in addition to getting her own rebound, she's missing all the time, which not all the time, but so damn much for someone who's supposed to be good. Awful to watch. Did you watch that?
What's crazy is which one? Her getting the shot blocked?
The two girls that made the TikTok video of her, and all they did was miss it all the time with the rebounds.
Oh, yeah. I did see one. Yeah.
Bro, this is not a parody. That's freaking a mock in real life.
But there's a video of her getting her shot blocked. It's like 20 times, different games. And they're all in the WNBA, no college. She drives it, and people are just swatting her shot. And she'll get the loose ball, and I guess that counts as a rebound. And that's why I'm saying at least it's got to be at least 50% of her rebounds are off of her missed shots or block shots. But credit to her, she sticks with it.
She's staying the course. But I think
that should be part of the narrative also. She's got double doubles. Great, okay, but she shoots 41%. So how is she getting the doubles? How them are her own. Bring up Caitlin's turnovers, so why not talk about her poor shooting?
Exactly, but they don't want to do that. And the way ESPN is pushing this agenda, trying to make it seem like she's going to get the Rookie of the Year award.
It's not just ESPN, by the way, because I saw
it's a lot of the woke people doing that.
Keyshawn talking about it. But props to Rachel Nichols, she was trying to reel them in with that bullshit.
Oh, I'm about to say Rachel Nichols is my chick, boy. I figured she would have a level head about it. But you just have to
watch. She was the only one. You know, Keyshawn was like fighting himself. Like he didn't want to be disrespectful to Caitlin, and he looked like he was trying not to jock Angel to Reese.
What's there not to be freaking?
I don't know, man.
What's there not to be disrespectful about? She's not doing anything to be disrespected.
I'm just saying the way he looked, he didn't look comfortable. I don't know if he didn't want to talk about it or they made him talk about it. I don't know. He didn't look comfortable.
I've been a Jets fan long enough to have heard Keyshawn's mouth from USC up until the day he was drafted as a Jet. I don't take anything he says seriously any damn way. He's entertainment purposes only. And for him to speak on something like that, he has his opinion. But generally speaking, especially when it comes to this, he's in the minority. And not only mean to play on words, he's in a minority about that when it comes down to who should win the Rookie of the Year award. I mean, she should be not in the complete argument, but she's at least on the list as, Player of the Year in the WNBA as well. She may be low on the list, but she's at least got a mention in that list. You know, who else has gotten a triple-double this year, by the way, in the WNBA? I don't even think anyone's gotten a triple-double out of all the season so far.
I don't know. But, and then the other thing is, the Fever, weren't they terrible last year? I mean, they had the number 1 pick.
The number 1 pick, they were awful last year.
And now,
she's the obvious difference.
Like, Caitlin has elevated them higher than Angel Reese has elevated the Sky.
Yep.
And they started from a much lower position.
And Angel Reese was the number 7 pick overall for a reason, because number 2 team, 3, 4, 5, and 6 thought she wasn't as good as well. It wasn't a neat thing. If you're that damn good, they're going to take you. But the Fever took Caitlin, and look what they're doing right now. They may not.
That doesn't mean that 5 people were better than her.
No, not 5 people were better, but the teams who had to pick, that's all that matters, thought that those guys was better, thought whoever they had taken was better than that option. You know, sometimes if you get a transcendent player, you know, whether you need that player or not, like if a team needed a center, but there wasn't a great center in that particular draft, and then you have AI come out number 1 overall as a freaking guard, bro, you're taking him. You know what I mean? If nothing else, you just take them. You know, and this is what happened. You had those kinds of players out there, at least in this draft, I guess. And you talk about the names. I don't know if they had a WNBA combine, but Caitlin Clark, from the very beginning, you knew was going to be the special player to carry your franchise. And she's doing more than carrying her franchise. She's carrying the whole flagship of the WNBA right now. And it's like they don't want to respect it. But I don't know how long she can continue to go on without really being vocal. Like, I mean, a regular person would have been more vocal, I guess, after all this nonsense. She still hasn't been as vocal as some may think she needs to be, just to put people in line, to let them know that, yo, this is not right what you're doing. I mean, everybody always talks about it. You have surrogates who can say it, but if she says that, I think it carries more weight. But then you'll have the people who already don't like her now looking at that as the reason why she shouldn't be liked. See, she whines a lot. You don't like her now anyway. So whether she's whining now or later, you're still not going to like her. You just have more of an excuse for not liking her.
Yeah, that remains to be seen. Seems like she has a low frustration level.
Very low.
I mean, she'll yell at referees and whatnot.
Yeah, within the competition of the game. But she doesn't yell at other players. She'll talk about a call, but if anyone ever had a reason to yell at referees because of what's happening to them, I think she's probably the one. After what's been going on, the tomahawk chops to the head, just butt her when she's not even looking, an inbound pass that she's not even a part of, all that nonsense that's been going on. But yep, once again, but they did beat the Liberty, who only lost 3 times up until facing the Fever on the road in Indiana. And that sellout crowd, once again, she's averaging what, 17 to 19,000 people at home now? I mean, she's the Beatles everywhere she goes. And that's just how it has been.
Well, didn't the Aces move their game to a larger arena?
Exactly. And it wasn't because of anyone who was there the previous season or because they're champs. It's because
that's not the first time this season. A bunch of teams have done it.
Exactly. The Washington Mystics did the same thing, and they were announcing that before the season started. But we know what the reason for the season is, and it's Caitlin. You can not like it all you want. You can get your feelings all you want. You can say all the nonsense you want because you're going to do it anyway if you're that kind of person. So sticking with basketball, we can move on to someone who probably not liked as much, which is LeBron James, but we'll just have to go down to Bronny James showing up during the summer league, keeping up the good work with his average from college. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Change your uniform, keep your same game, even against lesser NBA talent, which is not necessarily NBA talent right now.
Right. It's summer league. and then he sat out the second game already. I don't know what's going on with him.
Rest management.
My issue is with people saying leave him alone. Why should we leave him alone?
He
took somebody else's spot who seems who I think arguments can be made or more deserving. What has he done? What did he do in college that was so impressive that he deserved getting drafted? And then on top of that, getting a 4-year deal for $8 million?
Deal, man. For like $7 million?
Like it looks like to me Lakers might regret that. Not that it's a lot of money, but if you got him on your roster for 4 years, I don't know. I just think he took somebody else's spot, and people are saying leave the kid alone. No, because he got his privilege because of his dad.
Yep, I mean, that's what it is.
And his dad's agent calling other teams, don't draft Bronny, don't draft Bronny. I don't know how those conversations went, but I'm pretty sure they're like, hey, you ain't got to worry about us drafting him, bro. Bye.
I thought second round.
I don't have anything against the kid personally, but he's only there because LeBron is there.
Oh, we knew that.
Anybody that denies that is either they're just stupid or blind. They don't want to see it because that's a fucking fact.
Man, we knew that from the beforehand. I mean,
everybody knew it at the end of the college basketball season. We knew it before the draft. Everybody knew
it. And I follow basketball from when guys are on AAU. I mean, we're talking about websites that have guys who consider the best third grade in the country. Sites like that kind of get these guys from the grassroots. And you watch Bronny based on who he is. You got a chance to see him in the Mikey Williams and all, and when he played with Dwayne Wade's son as well. And he never came across as that asshole kind of a guy. He's always seemed pretty affable. And even in the McDonald's All-American game, people liked him. He deferred to other players. It's not like he wanted to be the star player. He's trying to be that normal guy, and he's not allowed to be so because of his father. And then you see him play, and you know that his game he's a good player. He was a 4-star player. So that means he's a good player. To be an NBA player, typically 5 stars is pretty much what you would be, even though the star system isn't always correct. But for him being a 4-star player, as LeBron James' son says a lot, and when you watched him, you didn't see anything special. You saw something good. There's a difference between being good and being special, and it wasn't him. You look at special players like a Ja Morant, but he was already in college. But you look at, and that's what the NBA missed because any team in the country would have taken him if they knew what he was going to develop into. But you look at him, and he's just a good player, not NBA player. And he didn't even get a chance to develop at USC because, first of all, the heart issue, a cardiac issue is a serious issue. And then he didn't even start. I mean, the guy averaged like 19 minutes a game and still just got under 5 points a game on average. He had every opportunity, I think, in that little bit of time to at least show something, get 10 points. But he didn't. And he gets to the NBA because of the politics, the nepotism. And we're seeing in the summer league so far, I doubt we're going to see some 15-point game, even against these caliber of NBA players, in which most of them may not go to the NBA anyway when it's said and done. Probably splintering out to the G League, most likely.
I'm just interested to see if he gets into the rotation and what happens when he does. I can't see him on the floor at the end of games. That's one. But he's gonna have a target on his back.
Mm-hmm.
Ronnie's in the game. Let's cook. Time to cook. He better come ready, because if people were saying Caitlin Clark had reality coming, Bronny's gonna have reality coming.
But I think the difference here is that at least Caitlin Clark, for a women's basketball player or even a basketball player playing on that level, she had immense talent that proved that she had something. You had something to go with to see.
I'm not comparing their games at all. I'm just saying.
But with Bronny, guess what? With Bronny, you might not have to do much. He's just not on that level, in my opinion, to where he'll sabotage himself just by not being good enough.
It could be when he's on the court, they're going to have to bring him off the court right away.
Defensively, I never really talked about his defensive game. I never really paid attention to it. Offensively, not very explosive. It didn't look like. I mean, when you look at top players now, second rounders, I think the Lakers did that second round thing because the glare wouldn't have been so bad. If they didn't take him in the first round, people would have really been a little bit more upset, including Laker fans. But in the second round, where there aren't even guaranteed contracts, but it seems like he had gotten a guaranteed contract now in the second round. And you look at something. Draymond Green was a second rounder, but he's not going to be Draymond Green. I mean, Jokic is the greatest second round of all time. I don't think anybody can even skip that hurdle anymore in the rest of basketball history. But him, man, I just don't see him doing anything for not the Lakers or any other NBA team, man. I don't see him growing into that kind of a player. Bryce may be doing it. Bryce James may end up. I just saw him hit the dunk a couple weeks ago. He may have that ability, but that's still not promised to you.
It could be, he's still recovering from that heart issue, and maybe
Damn.
he is able to raise the level of his game
Whew.
once he's back at full strength.
But
But
every time
as
I think
far as what he did in college, what he did at the combine, I do not believe he deserved to get drafted.
absolutely not. Nope. No way around it. And he comes across as such a good guy. And he's just in a bad position in terms of the way the ridicule is going to come because every little thing is going to be scrutinized. He's going to be micromanaged by fans. You know what I mean? They're going to look at him in every little thing, and especially the opposing fans. The Lakers may ultimately tolerate it because he's on their team and his father, as long as he plays well enough, well, they'll continue to win or try to get to a championship or get deeper into the playoffs to where it wouldn't be as bad on him. But yeah, there's going to be people out there that's going to, I mean, there are people out
You
there.
know what?
The
The guys on speak, Shady, James Jones, and Acho, they made good points. In that locker room, if Bronny starts getting time, there's gonna be guys on that roster be like, this dude's playing ahead of me.
Yep.
There's gonna be drama.
Unless he could do something major and show that he deserves to get that 2 minutes a night that he might get in the beginning of the season. I mean, he has to be able to justify that because they're watching him in practice. That's one thing we don't have the benefit of seeing. And I don't know how reporters are able to report on that if they get a chance to sneak peek and see what's going on. It might be a little tighter this time around because of him being there. I thought it would be tight because LeBron's there. But either way, if his game for some mysterious reason just ended up being a top-notch game to where he could probably get 5 minutes and no one can look at him side-eye because the players on the team, if he's doing that in practice, they can at least look at it, okay, he deserves that 5 minutes. Instead of what you're saying that, you know what, he's not doing anything, but he's still taking someone else's 5 minutes. That's a huge problem right there. And that could kill a locker room. And LeBron is already polarizing as it is. Now you have a rookie coach that kind of gets thrown into the mix who's supposedly a friend of LeBron James. And that professional friendship relationship probably throws even more gasoline on the fire or the potential fire.
Right. It could come to a point where LeBron's asking, hey, how about we get Bronny some minutes tonight?
Who's the coach, man?
I'm not asking, telling.
That's what I'm saying. Telling bro, how about he just go to the bench? LeBron like, yo, Bronny in there. And
He's got to get in rhythm. He needs time on the court. He's never going to get a rhythm sitting on the bench. Get him out there.
And LeBron's been so
LeBron.
He's been so adamant about this for years, though. Oh, you want to play my son? He said that for years. So it's not even something that has come up recently in the past 2 or 3 years. He said that for years. I like to play long enough to where I'm playing with my son. Well, Dream recognized it looks like he's going to be there. Regardless of how he plays, it seems like he's going to be there on opening night, unless they kind of designate him to the G League or whatever they're going to do. But it looks like ultimately at some point they'll be playing together. And so, of course, you're going to have all the light bulbs out.
I'm sure it's going to happen. I just don't see how long. I can't see Bronny staying on the court very long. He's going to get killed on defense. What is he going to do on offense? Most of their plays are pick and rolls or dump it into AD. Is he going to run pick and roll? Why would you run pick and roll with him?
Yeah, I know, right? Man, I don't know. And I'm thinking, I wonder because of the way he's come up, and I guess there's that pressure on him, whether he's good enough or not, is immaterial when it comes down to the pressure of being LeBron James's oldest son and being a basketball player. And I kind of always said he looks like he likes basketball, not loves basketball, but who the hell am I to judge? He's out there to this point, even with the help of his father, he's out there in the court, and he's going to have to love it to be damn good at it now. Now, I'm just thinking about, as far as his development goes, does he have time to develop on the court, or is everything he's going to do in practice, and then you just bring him out in the court and see if he can execute it or just let it practice carry over to the main game? And I just don't see it, man. Damn. And you have so many LeBron James haters out there. So anyone who talks about Bronny, you're thinking they're doing about proxy for LeBron James.
You know what I just thought of? I don't think him going to the Lakers, his dad, the Lakers, they're not doing Bronny any favors.
Nope.
The Lakers, they think they have championship aspirations. And if that's true, how are you going to work in a rookie into your rotation to get you to the promised land? So you mentioned development. A lot of players have not been developed coming out of high school or 1 year in
Nope,
college,
some real top players.
and then they go to another team and they blow up. You guys like Jermaine
I'm about to say that, Jermaine
O'Neal,
O'Neal.
T-Mac, Tracy McGrady, where they just ride the bench on the teams that drafted them, and then they go somewhere else and blow up. How is Bronny going to develop? Maybe playing against his dad and others in practice, but practice is one thing. You got to get on the court and play.
Yep, that's it. You got to get in the court and play, and there's nothing to lead me to believe. But you know what? In high school, there was
Drazen Petrovic. He floundered in Portland, goes to New Jersey, explodes.
Drazen Petrovic's a freaking legend, man. I mean,
yeah,
this is one of the heroes.
I got a quick story to tell too on Drazen.
What's going on? He was a legendary player, but I don't care what anybody says. He died way too early. We already know that. But that dude was talking about a freaking dog on a basketball court. That was Drazen Petrovic. Still a legend to this day, man.
So in my little town I live in, we have a fest for the 4th of July. Friday night, I think it was, we went, they have bands and whatnot. And I saw a dude with the Yugoslavian jersey. And I saw the number. I said, man, I wonder if that's a Petrovic jersey. And as he passed me, I turned and looked, and it had Petrovic on the back. It so just happened he stopped not too far away from me. So I wanted to show some respect. So I tap homie on the shoulder. I was like, hey, bro, rest in peace, Petro. He looked at me with this dumbass look and said, who? I said, Petro. When I pointed to the back of his jersey, he still was looking at me sideways like, what are you talking about?
Oh,
I said, nothing, man. Forget it. How are you wearing a Drazen Petrovic jersey and you don't even know him? Come on, man.
Bro, come on now. Sports jerseys.
Did you find that at Goodwill or something? I don't know.
But typically sports jerseys are the jerseys you wear because you are a fanatic. Fans means fanatics. You would think that if anyone has a sports jersey, if you even got it from a thrift shop, it's because you got the team a play that you couldn't probably find somewhere else. So for him to rock that Petrovic jersey, man, and get out of here, not know who he is, man, you should feel guilty about that. He probably too dumb to feel guilty about it.
I don't know. Like, at least it wasn't a Croatian jersey. It was Yugoslavia before the breakup. Because if it was Croatia, I had to go in on him.
Start fights out there with Petro. But I tell you, as a player, man, like you said, he didn't play well in Phoenix or didn't play as well. Went to the freaking
Portland.
Nets. He was in Portland, right?
Yeah, Portland.
Yeah, PP. But anyway, he goes. I remember him with the Nets, and I also remember when he passed away. And what was a car accident?
Yeah.
And I remember hearing all that. They don't have traffic lights out there. That's why he just speeding around. I'm like,
well, they claimed he was tired and he let his lady friend drive and she fell asleep.
Oh God, bro! I have a personal story about that. A friend of mine, same thing, man. His lady friend didn't fall asleep, but she was a little tipsy when he let her drive. He was more tipsy, and the Range Rover got hit, and he passed away. And she just broke her back and was talking nonsense. But anyway, another story. Oh, another day. But yeah, man, I feel bad for the way things are going with Bronny. But hey, being an adult now, all kid gloves are off, man. As far as the fans, you're fair game when you become a professional athlete. Hell, when you're a top-notch college athlete, kind of they come after you. In fact, they do it in high school now because of social media. If they can get to you, they'll say something. But you're in the NBA now. This is what's going to happen. Now, how does LeBron react when that first wave of serious criticism comes? The social media is one thing because they're going to just excoriate you anyway. But when the real criticism comes, when it's legitimately warranted, how's LeBron going to handle it for when it comes to his son?
Yeah, that remains to be seen. And like I said earlier, had he averaged 18 a game, and even in the combine scrimmages, he didn't play all that well. I think he had one good performance where he had like 19 or 20, but the other games it was single digits. I just don't think he deserved to get drafted. But if he had averaged 18 a game and balled out at the combine, be like, okay, maybe he's getting stronger after the heart issues. Maybe he does deserve to get drafted, but he didn't ball out. So that's my only issue with him, man. But I wish him well. I do not wish him any ill will. going through that hard situation and coming back, that shows a lot of heart.
It does.
You got to tip
No
your
pun
hat to
intended.
the kid. Yeah, you got to tip your hat to the kid for that. Hopefully, it's not a lingering thing or something. We'd hate to see a tragedy on the court.
Oh, man. Head gathers,
So
man. That's the thing I think about.
Hopefully, that's behind him. I just don't. So far, I haven't seen anything that leads me to believe he's going to have a successful NBA career.
And that's it right there. Because even in college, I was still like kind of taking that wait and see approach with college until that came along. But I would have liked to have seen him get around 10, 12 points in his true freshman year at USC or wherever he had ended up going. He ended up going to USC. Never got to that point. You had the heart issue first, then you came out, and it's nice to see that you were able to play once again without any issues that were at least reported. You averaged less than 5 points a game, but now you're in this position on the highest level of basketball on the planet. And I guess I'll start saying arguably, because some of these people in Europe now are saying, how can NBA champs be world champs if they haven't played the best teams in Europe? Bro, you really believe that? Come on now. You're the best team in Europe, the best team in the NBA. But guess what? If you had the best team in the NBA 2 seasons ago, then you had Jokic going back to the European team to play, and the rest of the team would just have to play against them in a Europe versus USA basketball game.
Most of the best Europeans are in the NBA. So
exactly. So if it came down to that team having to play against a European team, I guess they're going to take sides, and bro, I got to go with the home team. Like in the Olympics, we got to go with the home team, and then whoever's left over there from America can kind of stay there, and then they'll just compete. I mean, that'll be an interesting thing if they ever came down to it. But yeah, that's the closing the lid on the NBA right now, because man,
we got more stuff to talk about. DeMar DeRozan to the
bro, yeah, forgot to see. That's what all this stuff that's been going on.
Mavericks. Klay Thompson don't want to play with LeBron.
LeBron called him personally, and look what happened. Man, like, I am good. They got rid of Tim Hardaway, sent him to Detroit. Detroit got rid of him. Now you have a real 3-point threat in Dallas now, which they would have really needed this past season when they were in the playoffs, especially the championship game. They needed that 3 points, a 3-point shooter.
Yeah, they needed somebody to knock down threes badly against the Celtics. And if they get in that position again, Klay would be standing out there. I think he'll do better than all the other guys that were there. But the Warriors also added a 3-point shooter, Buddy Hield.
Yeah.
That doesn't do anything for their biggest gap in that roster.
The biggest gap for 2 seasons now, 3 seasons.
Yeah. So I mean, Buddy Hield for Klay Thompson. I don't know. He's younger. We'll see, but he's never performed. He's never performed at that level like
that
Klay
level,
used
exactly.
to. Yeah.
Is he going to move the needle? Is he going to be that guy that can put in now because he's younger, could move the needle to show him something of what they used to do? Because now the West is even more competitive than it was, 2 seasons ago, last season especially.
Yeah, I think the Warriors got to make another splash. But I think DeRozan going to Sacramento, that's a good
move.
Yeah, because Sacramento sometimes will struggle at the end of games. DeMar DeRozan, he's a guy that can get you a bucket at the end of games.
Yeah.
So, they have their closer now. And when he's not closing, you still got Fox, who now doesn't have to do it all alone down the stretch.
Yeah, and now Philadelphia now picking it up with the pieces, man. What George over there now?
Yeah. I'm not too high on Paul George. I could be wrong.
Older?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he's just. It could be he's been floundering in anonymity with the Clippers too. I don't know.
Anonymity, those two prominent guys in the same team.
Who watched the Clippers play? Nobody watches the Clippers.
I mean,
and then they got bounced. They got bounced early. So,
that Philadelphia team though. Come on now.
I don't think I watched one Clippers game last year. So maybe it's just me. So maybe I'm sleeping on them. I don't know. I just don't. They're saying it's a big 3. I don't see that.
Sort of big 3 going on.
I don't know. We'll see.
Man, it's going to be interesting this upcoming season. Now the East, in the beginning of last season, I thought the East was better than the West, but as the things played out, the West ended up just staying strong, man, and the East was just top heavy. But hey, just keep adding pieces, which continues to get top heavy because you're adding to the top there. even though Boston's probably still the favorites going into next season in the NBA overall right now, if they can continue. And by the way, Porzingis out for about 6 months with his injury. So this dude's a dog there playing the way he did with that kind of an injury.
Yeah.
You think it'd be like, okay, he just re-injured it. He'll be out for, do something in the off season, maybe a month or two. Man, this dude's like 6 freaking months. And he may be back right before the All-Star break next season.
Game 1, you couldn't tell he was injured at all.
Nah, nope. He sucked it up. Killed him.
Too bad game 2, he aggravated it.
He re-aggravated in 38 days off, came back in game 1, scored 20 points in 20 minutes, set the tempo for the entire series the way it turned out.
Yep.
But yeah, man, so the NBA, man, making noise, and the money these guys are getting, man. And the people who are getting the money. Man, these dudes is breaking banks and like, who's that again? Oh, man, I didn't know the dude was playing again. But
the TV contract.
And didn't they increase the salary cap?
Well, yeah, they raised it because of the TV contract.
Yeah, the TV contract.
There's more money to give away now.
Yeah, so this summer league hasn't been too much of a buzz right now, and I hadn't looked forward to too much of anything this season here. I'm looking more forward to even next year with Cooper Flagg doing whatever he's going to do at Duke before he may be the number 1 pick overall in next year's draft. So I guess there's something to look forward to there with a binocular. But right now, the NFL, not too far away, practically 2.5 weeks away, the NFL is going to get back into training camps. But before they get into training camps, bad news kind of befalls the NFL before a rookie can even get into a camp with the Vikings. We talk about Kyrie Jackson passing away in a car accident along with other players.
Yeah, that was sad to see.
Including a Florida State player. I mean, man, a 4th-round draft pick, and it's not even because he's a 4th-round draft pick. He's just somebody we get a chance to know because of who he is. If he wasn't an athlete, it happens any other time. His family and friends, they're the only ones that pretty much know about it in the community. But when these guys are in this position of being somewhat of a celebrity, even as a 4th-round draft pick, being as big as he was in college football to become a 4th-round draft pick, it has that kind of effect. You're entering the fraternity of being in the NFL, which is an international sport now in terms of the way, the whole world knows about it. The travel overseas, people know about it. But yeah, Kyrie Jackson, 2 former players also died in Maryland and in a car crash. And I don't know any details of how it happened, what it happened. The fact is that he's gone now. And this is right before the season. So I hope this isn't a precursor to other things happening this season, not in terms of people dying, but just bad news.
Right. It's a sad situation. Thoughts and prayers go out to his family, friends, and fans. It's just a shame.
Yeah, it is, man. And now the NFL is coming up, and I know that here in Jacksonville, Shad Khan, the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, has been putting the onus on Doug Peterson now, and pretty much not so subtly saying, it's up to you now to develop young players. We're not going to continue to make a living off of free agents. He specifically said that. So he was like, bro, he's about spending money because he gave Trevor Lawrence all that money. He feels secure giving Trevor Lawrence $275 million for the time that he's going to be here and for the next 5 years at least. But he's like, hey, you know what? You need to develop the young players we already have. We don't want to use free agency as a way to build our team. And Doug Peterson, a Super Bowl winning coach, has to understand that. And he think he would. I don't think he's deliberately not developing young players. Everybody has to work together, GM and coaches and all the other coaches, in order to get this thing jumped off. And with some consistency, I think Shad Khan would be good just to get towards the Super Bowl, or at least be in the argument every year. And maybe just getting into a Super Bowl, and it'll justify the money that he spent. I mean, he didn't become a billionaire for no freaking reason.
Well, you would think developing your young talent would be part of your program automatically. So why that needed to be said, that's a head scratcher. And if you think your head coach isn't developing your young talent, well, maybe you don't have the right head coach.
Well, Doug's going into his 3rd season with the Jaguars. So, I mean, the remnants of what was left behind when Urban Meyer left, and then now that he's the Super Bowl winning coach from a previous team, coming here now and knowing how it's supposed to be done, I don't think you should talk to a coach like that. He knows what needs to be done. But you know what? Look what happened. Going from what they were in Trevor Lawrence's 2nd year to being what they were last season in his 3rd year, the regression they made, because of the lack of what he's done. and they're rewarding him with this. It was a catch-22 there. They're rewarding him with this huge contract based on a regress season. They're just hoping that it's a blip on the radar and that he just improves next season, which you would think would be the case. But after the way he had done last season, man, a little skeptical.
Yeah, I wouldn't have given it to him, but
No.
Like you mentioned, they might be thinking it was a blip on the radar. And if you pay him now, then that's less than you would have to pay him next season. So maybe that was their thinking. But based off his performance last year, and they basically choked away the division,
Yep.
Down
Absolutely.
the stretch. There's no way I would have rewarded him with the contract. But I don't know, Trevor.
What trust do you have?
Maybe Trevor, he needs peace of mind. Now he's got that contract. He don't have to worry about it. Maybe that gives him peace of mind and he can play better. I don't know. And I say that because of Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson says he was miserable last year. He had that contract situation hanging over his head.
Bro, we saw when he was shooting. You talked about how he was shooting and missing the shots and everything that went into him doing what he wasn't doing before. So I don't know if that was just a contract on his head. I think it was just him wrapping his head around missing those shots and the mental aspects of trying to get back to being the type of player he was. 2 years now, going on 3 years of removing the injury.
But going back to Klay in that last game of the season, the playing game, thinking on it now, he probably put so much pressure on him. I don't believe he wanted to leave Golden State. He wanted a new contract there. But he put so much pressure on himself, he shot 0 for 10. And then, he's getting clowned on the internet and, he wasn't getting the fuzzy. But
look at the stupid responses he was making.
He wasn't getting the good and fuzzies from the team.
Yep.
And he's like, you know what? Maybe it's time to go. And I think that's why he's gone.
Now he's just going to be that veteran presence. I mean, hell, Kyrie Irving's the veteran presence there too. But he's going to be that guy that you can rely on for that three-point shot when you really need it. At least his history says he can. Did he start picking it up more towards the end of the season? Because I remember we were also clowning him too for missing the shots.
Yeah,
and he was getting frustrated with the media when they was asking him questions about it. And he was like, yo, man, pretty much forget the fans, what they think. And then it was time for him to go.
Yeah, I went in on him because of that. But so look at the whole thing. He got put on the bench and then he started shooting better. So going to the bench probably relieved him of a lot of pressure. He's coming off the bench, playing against the second team. The score is what it is, as opposed to, all right, we got to get off to a good start. Let me shoot this three. Damn, I shot a brick. You know what I mean? So I think he was able to play more relaxed, and then he found his shot. I just don't know exactly what happened in that playing game, but I do have a theory. I think he put too much pressure on himself.
Yeah, and I don't think it was the contract over his head. I think it was just him and his own little inner fight going on, and it just didn't play out on the court, man. You think somebody who's so comfortable with doing that, you think after all these times and years of being in championship games and big games and being able to make the shot when you need it, you think that stayed with you all along until physical things prevent you from doing it, like being old and the knees aren't the same, the legs aren't the same. But he just
I don't know. He could just be the sensitive type. When
things are going well, he's all good. Now
he's coming from a place of, look at all I've done throughout my career. You guys don't want to give me a good contract. I think it was Big Perk that said they paid him for 2 years when he wasn't playing.
And that's the truth too. But that's
a lot of love right there. That's love right there. They could have released him then, or like, hey, Klay, you're not going to play for 2 years. Can we renegotiate your contract? They didn't do that.
But the NBA is guaranteed money, so he doesn't. The onus is on him to be able to go along with what they're saying.
I'm just saying,
they still owe him that money.
Where's the appreciation for getting paid while he's rehabbing for 2 years?
Yeah. See, it's not like a situation the old Jason Williams years ago with the Nets, who broke his leg like almost immediately after getting that huge contract, never played again and got all that money, man. So whoever was insuring that, Lloyd's of London, whoever the hell was insuring that, they hated it. But yeah, them premiums probably went through the roof as well. But yeah, man, NBA contracts are guaranteed. So whether he was injured, they're still obligated to pay him. and they can't renegotiate, or they probably could, but he could easily turn it down and with no harm, no foul, still keep the money. They cut him, they still got to pay him, you know. But in any event, man, he's with the Dallas Mavericks now. Now, I didn't think they were a dominant team, and they kind of surprisingly got to where they got last season into the playoffs and to the championship game, you know, when they probably weren't supposed to do it. I still think with him, with the as stacked as the West is, they now move up a notch or two. It still doesn't put them at the 1, 2, or 3 seed.
Well, there's still a lot of free agents out there. There's a lot of moves to be made, so the rosters are not close to being complete at the moment.
Nah.
And I didn't mean to bring it back to basketball from football. I just wanted to mention that part about Clay.
Well, we'll get more than enough chances to talk about football because it's right around the corner, not to mention college football as well, as these media days are starting to show up for SEC, I believe, in another week or so. And then you have the Big Ten, you know, all these different locations of teams now. The major realignment in college sports history between what's going on in the Big Ten and what's going on in the SEC. Big seasons ahead. I mean, the first game of the season is next freaking month. Miami coming up to Gainesville to play. I'm thinking about going to check to see that game, depending on what's going on. But either way you look at it, I am going down to Miami for the Florida State game this year. But in any event, football can be talked about because we're now going to have another chance to talk about it. This week, there is no holiday to interrupt it. Boxing, we can end on that note with Shakur Stevenson fighting this past weekend. I think in a disappointing fight because I expected more, even though his skill set was still shown and against a pretty frenetic opponent. But, man, I think he needs to keep Tank's name out of his mouth for right now.
I think Shakur's problem is he's too defensively responsible because there's times where he's throwing the check right hook, but he's backing up.
Yeah.
You're trying to be offensive and defensive at the same time. He's got to work that out. But he's almost untouchable. He's got the best plus minus in boxing. People don't like it. You know, he was applying pressure to the other guy. He wasn't going backwards. People still didn't like it. You know, he's not Tank. He doesn't have that one punch.
But I think the problem was this, because I know people like their boxes. You have more people who like the punches because they add excitement to boxing. And sometimes the flash and dash guys who are just offensive without a lot of punch, you know, they still look good doing it. Floyd Mayweather, once he went from 135 to 147, he wasn't a knockout puncher anymore. He started just being more savvy. You know, he's more defensive, but he was strategically defensive and still getting off his offense and making it look good when he was doing it. But with Shakur, man, I think there was one of these rounds, whether it was the 5th or 6th round, going back to the corner, he was like, yo, I'm going to knock this guy out. So I'm like, about time he's going to sit down in his punches and start landing them because he did get a little buzz going before. That's probably what got him amped up about it. He gets back out there. He tried to do it. He tried to bite down and land the heavy shots and still couldn't get this guy out of there. And this guy kept coming back at him, man. Every time, still came back hard at him. And he couldn't do much about it. Now, the defensive part of what he was shown was looking good, but he was also getting hit too. Not a lot, but more than where he would typically get hit. I think they said he gets hit at a 15 or 16% clip. You know, I think it was around that area, 17%. But the punches he got hit with was fairly noticeable. But he couldn't get this guy out of there like he was supposed to. I mean, not knockout, but if you're not going to knock him out because you're not a knockout puncher, be so definitively better than him and be sharp, because I don't think he was very sharp that night either, because some of the things he did just didn't look as sharp as I've seen him in the past. Different kind of opponent, a bit frenetic here and then, not necessarily completely staying in front of him. But I think being the defensive savant he's turning out to be, with some offense that's supposed to be strategically placed, he should have looked better, even though he still got the win.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I think it was like the 5th or 6th round when that dude kind of got hurt and he was backing up from that point on. What you're talking about when Shakur said he's gonna get the knockout.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, the guy he would throw punches once in a while, but he wasn't really coming after Shakur.
In the beginning, he was, but then he slowed it down.
Yeah, in the beginning, but I'm talking about after that 5th or 6th round.
Yeah, that body shot, he got some of that power.
Yeah, he was no longer coming at him like he was earlier.
Not reckless.
He was like, all right, I got to be careful with this guy. And
yeah,
he was not going to get knocked out. He took some hard body shots, big shots to the head.
Oh, yeah. Somebody shot really hurt him.
He was there. He didn't go nowhere. But was he really trying to win? And I think that's where I lean with Shakur, where he says, give me a better opponent and I'm going to look better. When
Man,
the
but this
guy
is
tries, then I'm going to look better. That's when I'll be at my best.
see, this is the
But none
second
of those
fight, though.
guys want to fight him.
See,
None
I
of them.
hate that
You
part
can
though.
line them all up. They will all talk shit about him, but none of them will fight him.
And I hate
Tio,
that crap.
Haney, Garcia, Tank. Maybe Pitbull will fight him. I think he
People
might
fight
be the
anybody,
only
man.
one. That's right. That's what I'm saying. But all these dudes want to talk junk about him. Well, then get your ass in the ring and fight him.
Yeah, and he's a free agent now too. That was his last fight under Bob Arum. It's ironic because he's out there with Bud, and you know what? Bud was a little worried on Saturday night because he didn't want to talk after the fight. People coming to him, he turned his back, man. He had nothing to say. I'm wondering, was he disappointed about what happened in the ring, or he just know that people are going to come after Shakur and he don't want to talk bad about his boy? I don't know, but yeah, but he's a free agent now. Now they wonder who's going to sign him. Is it going to be PBC? And I'm wondering, is it going to be Floyd Mayweather now that he has Richard Schaefer? You know what I mean? Now that he has Richard Schaefer, man, that might be somebody he might want to jump with because I think Richard Schaefer is the game changer in boxing now that he's back on the boxing scene. But that's left to be decided, or we'll get a chance to see that.
I think it depends on who he really wants to fight the most. If he wants to fight Tank the most, he'll go with
PBC.
Yeah. If he wants to fight Haney, then who's he gonna? Eddie Hearn, the Zone.
About to say Hearn, man, between Hearn and Frank Warren, man, those guys got guys and they fight one another.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I think it's going to come down to who he wants to fight the most or who gives him the biggest bag.
Both. I mean, the fights that he's looking at are the ones who are going to give the biggest bag anyway.
Right.
If he fights Tank, they're both getting bags. You know what I'm saying? They're both going to get it. You know, I don't think you get more because you with Warren or with Hearn than you would get with PBC or whoever, you know, that Tank's with. You know what I mean? Because Tank seems to change every now and then too. But the money that he would get is going to be huge either way, just the Tank name now because Tank has built himself to this point. But we'll just have to wait and see what big fights are coming on now. I mean, Tio had that fight, did it look spectacular in that fight, pretty ordinary. In fact, the way his face looked after the fight, you think that he had a tougher time than he should have had. Man, I was looking for a KO, but he didn't get it. And now we got Bud fighting next month.
If you look at it, the only guy who looked good was only two guys, Pitbull and Tank. Everybody else, they were not very impressive.
And a young guy, Keyshawn Davis, looked all right, got a KO the other night as well. But man, it's just, and there was what's that fight? Shock that fought on the undercard.
I didn't see it.
Got robbed.
Robbery.
Oh my God, the guy robbed. Holy crap, that was a freaking robbery. That damn robbery woke me out of my sleep because it was a boring fight.
We got to talk about the Garcia brothers, though.
Huh?
We got to talk about the Garcia brothers.
There they go.
Sean Garcia weighed in 3 pounds overweight for his fight with the
Where did he get that from?
Right. I was like, really? But they still took the fight, and Amado Vargas beat his ass. I was like, good. But Ryan Garcia,
ass, though. That's what's his name? Son.
Vargas, that's his middle son. Yeah,
all his sons is whooping ass right now, though.
But Ryan Garcia, I can't find the clip, but I'm seeing all these videos. People respond to Ryan Garcia's racist rant.
Yeah, I saw it, man. I heard it.
You saw him say it?
Yeah,
what did he say? Because I can't find it.
Well, I guess they probably bleach it off or wash it off. He's just talking about Muslims and black people saying, he's specific about the N-word. The N-word. I don't know how the algorithm is going to work with this. But he mentioned the N-word that you probably would expect and all that, how he didn't like what was, like N-words. I thought he was drunk.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then they said he's going to rehab, but he skipped rehab to go to his brother's fight.
This dude didn't take it serious, man. They both need to go to rehab.
He's a clown, man. He's a clown. I can't. I did see a video of him saying, "I love all black people. I love all Muslims. I'm with God."
You already know, man. That's damage control. Man.
If you're drunk and you don't feel that way, that doesn't come out of you.
Yeah.
If you're high, whatever he was on, if you do not feel that way, it doesn't just come out of you. You know what I'm saying? So
what is he getting drunk for anyway? He's supposed to be a freaking boxer, man. He's supposed to be religious and all this, man. He shouldn't be drunk publicly.
I saw clips of him playing poker with Jimmy Butler. It must have been celebrity put. and he's acting a fool, and Jimmy Butler's he's just standing there with his stare. You can see the wheels turning like this motherfucker.
This guy
You
here.
know what I'm saying?
Get the poker face on.
Dude's
man, he's a lost cause, man. He's out for boxing for a year. He's out of boxing for a year, man. And man, I thought they would have been a better job to put him out for 2 years, and not only because of the punishment, but because he needs to get on his game, man. He needs to get his head together, and it might take longer than just 1 freaking year. You know, because he's making money other ways, and he's 1 minute he's telling you he could become an actor or do something outside of boxing and still make a bag. Next minute he's saying he wants to be a fighter. You just don't know what's going on with this guy, man. I don't know what's really going on personally in his life for him to just constantly lash out like this.
Let him fight Jake Paul, and then they both can retire.
And he'll get the bag he wants. He just have to get another 40 pounds. In fact, Jake Paul might make him come in at a rehydration clause. You know, but you can't come. You got to stay at 140, man. You got to stay at 147. But man, I don't know, man. There really aren't any fights coming up that are worth a damn. I mean, we know now that Anthony Joshua is going to fight Daniel Dubois on the 21st of September, and it's going to be for now the IBF championship since they took that away from Usyk. He just unified the titles, undisputed, and now they took the belt away from him. So the fight that he has in the rematch with Fury is not going to mean anything in terms of being undisputed. And they made Dubois, I think, the interim champ, and then now they upgraded him to full champ because they think that AJ is going to beat him. They want AJ to get the belt back. You know what I mean? To continue the money, because Dubois is not going to be like AJ. Even if Dubois would have knocked out AJ, he's still not going to be the attraction AJ is.
Yeah, that's true.
So they want that money.
We should be getting an announcement soon. Canelo's, I'm sure he's going to fight in September for Mexican independence. Munguia, he already fought Munguia.
Oh yeah, Munguia. And what's the name? The other
Malanga. That's my guess.
Yeah, I thought that from the beginning to get that Puerto Rico Mexican thing going on a Mexican Independence Day. Man, it's not a bad fight, man, but that's not the fight we want though. Right. You tell me David Benavidez, I'm putting the money up and we're going to see David Benavidez.
There's like 3 or 4 better fights than that one, at least 5.
Even the rematch with Bivol, but
I just thought, Bivol's one of them. Benavidez, of course. Morel.
He
won't fight Better Biev, but that's a bigger fight. There's one other, Bud Crawford.
But it looks like the Bud Crawford fight might be more legitimate than the other ones, though. Even though it's not in Bud's best interest, but hey, I'll still watch it because Bud's, if he gonna go down on his sword, man, I'd rather watch him go down on his sword. And I'll be part of the people who pay to make sure he's well taken care of for doing it.
Yeah,
for real. When Bud says something, I can believe. He's one of the few fighters I can believe.
If Canelo won't fight him, because he
too
says
much money.
It's a lose-lose. Yeah, hopefully the Saudis give up $250 million.
That $150 million he wants.
But Terrence Crawford beating the shit out of Canelo would make my fucking year.
Bro, that would be serious, man. There would be no excuse making. No, he's finally heading downhill. None of this and that. If Bud beat that dude, man, I'm not talking about putting him on the Mount Rushmore, but of the era, definitely on the Mount Rushmore of the era, not the Mount Rushmore of all boxing. And it kind of jumps him up the line. But man, if he ever did that, though, I mean, everything tells you that Bud shouldn't win. I'll still put money on Bud to win. Just how much, I mean, and I like Canelo. I've always liked Canelo, man, but the way he's doing boxing fans now by not fighting the guys that we want him to fight and then telling us he's giving us the best fight to fight who the hell he wants to fight. Damn, champs don't say that, man. Come on.
I mean, I of course Canelo will be the favorite, but
he should.
But
everything says he should.
But guys that give Canelo trouble have strong jabs. Crawford has a strong jab, lefty or righty.
But then it's going to come to a point where Canelo can start walking through them. Because we've seen even with Golovkin, Canelo walked through to some of them shots, and Golovkin hits freaking hard as hell.
Golovkin was already old. He was slow.
I mean, that's the second fight, and even the first one, he was getting hit with some shit. Woo, he was getting hit a lot. He was getting backed up in the first fight. The second fight, he came forward, and I think he heard it. People talking about, man, he got backed up the whole fight. The first fight, it was Golovkin backing up a lot and kind of repositioning, trying to figure things out. And it was a hell of a firefight. That third fight, come on, that should have never have happened. But anyway, That's what it is right now. On the boxing note, man, that's just the conclusion of a sports week between Monday and now. Everything that's happened in between, and we didn't even get around to all of it because this baseball we could have talked about. Freaking, oh my God, Ellie De La Cruz just destroyed the freaking Yankees by himself. We talk about that nonsense at another time. The All-Star game coming up a week from tomorrow. Tomorrow being Tuesday, so a week from tomorrow, the All-Star break will be up. So just a short week in baseball so they can get to the respective places. And I heard Alonso from the Mets is going to join the home run derby, 2-time champ. So, hey, at least it adds some excitement in that regard. So until then, we'll be back on Thursday. Something's going to happen in between now and then. Come on, these are all the dog days of summer when it comes to sports, but we can still get some things done on Thursdays. I'm Trav. He's by the Sports Bag Bros podcast will be out right now, but until later, deuces.
Adios.